let's see the data collection instruments. You have to collect data to study the relationship between factors between IV and the DV. So if it is exercise and the blood sugar, we have to collect data on the blood sugar level of that particular patient, and you have to collect the data of the exercise he does as well. So how to collect the blood sugar level here? You can use a glucometer. That's the instrument that will give you the reading of your blood sugar on each day that you wanted to collect the data on. And on the other side, exercise, you can use the device. There are devices, electronic devices you can use that can give you the reading of your exercise, how many steps you have done, or how many kilometers, and how long, how far. All those things can be collected using a device. So these are the two devices you may use to collect your data to study the relationship between the exercise and the blood sugar. We call this the data collection instruments. Now, if you want to do a different type of research, business or scientific or even legal researches, you may use different types of instruments. We may use experiments, we may use interviews, we may use observations, we may use questionnaires, and etc. There are so many methods, and we'll see these methods in detail. Experiment is one of the key instruments researchers use to collect data from. If you are a restaurant, if you want to introduce some new flavored burger, you can make 10 burgers, give that to some customers and collect some data from them. Based on that data, we can come to a conclusion whether this burger is going to perform in the market well. Or maybe if we need some improvement based on the data collection, we can do some improvement and go to the market, or otherwise we may discontinue that again based on the data we collected through this experiment. Now, if you are a pharmaceutical company, if you want to bring some new vaccine for certain disease, you can make 100 vaccines and you can inject that to some animals, and you can do some experiment, collect the data on those experiments, and you can come to a conclusion. Yes, this vaccine will develop some immunity in human body, or maybe you need some improvements or whatever. And if you are a legal researcher, if you want to introduce some punishment for certain specific crime, you may bring that punishment straight away, and you can implement that and do an experiment whether this punishment is controlling this crime or not. Based on this experiment or based on the data you collect from this experiment, we can come to a conclusion, we can solve this problem. Interviews are one of the popular data collection instruments among researchers. Now, the researcher might have some questions in a piece of paper or in his telephone or in his mobile phone, and he goes to the interviewees and asks questions to collect some data from. It may be face to face, it may be over the phone, it may be over some other platforms as well. There may be one personal individual interview with someone, or maybe you may use some focus group as well, different group of people, and you may ask questions in common to those group. In a focus group, you may have 5 to 15 specialists to that research topic. So for example, if you want to develop some new vaccine for COVID pandemic, you may bring in 5 to 15 specialist doctors in this area, and you can ask questions from them to collect data from. You can do interviews from them to collect data, so you can develop a brand new vaccine this time. And when you do this focus group interview, you always use open-ended questions. When I say open-ended questions, you only ask questions, you never give optional answers, because to develop a vaccine at the moment, nobody has the answer. We only have the questions. So we are exploring a vaccine, so we only give questions open-ended. Leave the doctors to answer the answers they have. We never give options there. Interviews may be structured or unstructured. In structured interviews, the interviewer or the researcher might have 10 questions, and he would read all those 10 questions in the right same order, and he would get the answers or data from his audience. He wouldn't ask any other extra questions on it, and this is good for confirmatory studies for less complex situation. But the unstructured interview, where you will have few questions because something brand new, some brand new problem arises and you want to do a research on this. So you don't have an idea as to what to ask in the very first place. So you have very less questions. You go with those questions to your audience. When you ask the first question, they may give you an answer. When they give the answer, based on that answer, there may be a question that arises then and there. Then you ask that question as well. So you will have extra questions which you've never gone with to ask this interview. When you come out from the interview, you would have collected data for 25 questions, but you only went with 3 questions there. This is unstructured, and this is unstructured interview is appropriate for exploratory researchers to study some brand new problem for complex situations. Observation is another powerful instrument to collect data. You can get the data through your visual observation using your eyes, or you can collect data using your ears, listening to things, and you can collect data from, and you can use your tactile or any other senses as well to collect data from. You can use this method to collect data from your customers' purchasing behavior, your employees' motivational behaviors, and so on. Now it is research questionnaire. This is very popular among bachelor's and master degree holders for their research as the research data collection instrument. Now in this you will have some standardized questions with answers. Mostly it is always closed-ended questions. So you have the question, you have the optional answers there, and you tick one of those. That is the questionnaire, and this is another instrument.